So what's the difference between a home inspection and a home appraisal?
That's what we're talking about today.
Looking at
Okay, so first we got to talk about a couple of definitions, right? We've got the home inspection and we have the appraisal. Two different things, right? The home inspection is to help us understand what's going on in the home, the major systems in the home. And the second one, the appraisal, is supposed to tell us about value.
you. Awesome. So why do buyers like home inspections?
Well, they're getting an inspection on a home that they're getting ready to purchase that they don't know anything about. They're not everybody's a construction contractor guy. They don't know how stuff's supposed to be built. They are just typically not adequate for that. So they hire somebody. Then they go through that whole home with a fine-tooth comb. Usually takes 2, 3, 4 hours. And you get a huge document that says every little thing wrong with the house. This hinge is loose. This anti-tip brackets on the oven haven't been there. They haven't been there for 15 years, but you didn't know that, and now you do, and you can decide on what you want to do from there, whether you want to continue to move forward with the house, do you want to have some repairs done, you know what you're getting into.
Nice. So why wouldn't the seller like a home inspection?
Well, for all the reasons that buyers love them, sellers tend not to like them as much because it introduces, maybe exposes is a better word, flaws in the house, problems with the house. And so then the buyers can use those flaws in a negotiation to reduce the price or to ask for repairs that the seller probably doesn't want to do. So,
But it's true, but I always want to make sure that the sellers understand you've lived in the home for however many years.
right.
You're aware of the quirks.
You're aware, even if you don't realize you're aware of them, you've been living with them. Here's somebody that's coming to get ready to spend several $100,000. They want to know what the home is. You'd want to do that when you go buy a home. So you may not like it, but try to take a step back and look at it. Now, I mean, if you want to have the garden beds weeded, I mean,
We've actually seen that one.
that's a real one. That's a real one. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
pick something that's actually what the house is. You're not buying a brand new construction. But that's another thing. Do you do one on a new construction? I mean, it's
Yes.
a brand new home.
Yes, you still do one on new
Why?
construction because the building inspector needs to come through and certify the house is ready for occupancy. That doesn't mean that it has been certified, all the systems are perfect and running well. That building inspector is not working for the buyer. But a home inspector is working for the buyer, trying to get information, as much information as possible about that property for the buyer.
Things that may be an issue for all types of people
Exactly.
and not just one person's preference.
Exactly.
I had one that came back. I think they had close to 70 items in this home inspection report. Okay?
Right, and those all matter, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, those are all things that are situations or certain things that home inspector did find, and so they are all technically an issue. But as a buyer, we should be focusing on the stuff that's safety related and the stuff that's structural, that's actually going to affect the home.
So there's a difference then between, say, you've got mold in the basement bathroom and you need to weed my garden. for
Yes,
example,
yes,
right?
which I've had. I've had to
Right.
weed my garden.
So the difference there is in real estate speak, that's called a material fact. Something that would change the opinion of value of a property. For example, the mold, that's a material fact. If somebody comes in and they don't know there's mold there, they might say, here's the price. But if they come back and they say, oh, there's mold in there, now they go, wait a second, I'm not going to pay that same price because it's not worth as much to
Or
me.
not just price, but safety. Some
Right,
things
it
you
is.
don't even realize. I was looking at a house a little while ago, and the deck wasn't attached to the house with lag screws. It was just nailed with 16 penny.
Oh,
The deck itself. I didn't know that. I didn't see it. Inspector comes out and says, this is going to fall off. It's like,
yeah.
no.
And then you read about it in the paper. 5 people injured during a 4th of July
So
barbecue.
There's
standing on
a
the deck.
difference between this is an ugly deck and the deck's going to fall off your house.
So guys, let's assume that we've made it through the inspection. We got through that whole laundry list, figured out whatever things we wanted to fix. We went to the seller. We got all that stuff taken care of, right? All that negotiation is complete. So we're done, right? No. Now we're on to the appraisal.
Yeah, that home inspection stuff was finishing out the due diligence period
Right.
for the buyers to purchase that home, and then the next portion is
Appraisal.
Right. But that's not for the buyer, right? Who's the appraisal for?
or for the seller. Who's it for?
It's for me. It's for the lender. So this is the thing you don't understand. A lot of people need. This is really good to talk about because the appraisal establishes value. The appraiser, if he can't see the mold in the house, if he's not looking for it, what he wants to know is if we need to foreclose on this home, can we recoup our value?
That's why it's there.
He'll go through the house. He'll make sure the house is there. He'll make sure it meets basic code. If you've got a second story deck without a rail on it, he's going to say this is a problem.
Yeah.
But he's not going to go around wiggling to see if it's loose or check if there's loose stuff. He's not going to check the phasing of your outlets or if your sinks drain faster than they fill.
Right.
That's all home inspection.
So yeah, that's all home inspection. So stopping. I mean, that's a really good point to say because buyers sometimes will say, "Well, can I just use the appraisal reports?"
Don't they check that stuff?
No. Don't they check that stuff?
No, the appraiser is gonna specifically look if he can within a mile, within a year, homes that are built the same. So a ranch for a ranch, a 2-story for a 2-story, a bungalow for a bungalow.
Right.
Can I verify the value of this in case the lender needs to recoup?
Yeah. So it really is amazing.
So I got a monkey wrench for that one.
Yeah.
Not all appraisers actually go and visit the home, do they?
No,
Oh.
they don't actually. Depending on the risk associated with the loan, the lender may ask for different things. There's some loans we don't even ask for it. So there's been agencies that have been tracking the value of properties for the past few years, and if a property falls well within the value established by the agency, they'll give it a waiver. So you don't need the appraisal because homes in that area have been selling consistently for this, and it'll
Right.
check out. So one step beneath that, if there's kind of a question, they can do a desk review
Okay.
where the guy pulls on the information off like the MLS about the
Right.
home and pulls other value. And then a full appraisal is just required to establish for sure what do we think the value is.
Right,
And
and
then still know it's an opinion of value.
And that's where the appraisal actually comes out to the house. He looks it over. He walks to the house.
Takes pictures.
Gets out his little computer and
Yeah.
says, this picture looks better than this or not as good as this property next door.
Yeah. So they'll make sure the water runs. They'll make sure that the AC runs. They'll make sure the furnace runs.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So a
But-
home inspector says, your water heater sucks. It's going to blow up or you've got so much sediment in it. There's no, you need a new one.
Right.
And the appraiser says, water heater strapped to the wall. Check.
Done.
Done.
Okay. So that I think pretty clearly establishes the difference between home appraisals and home inspections.
Right.
Those have to happen during that transaction.
Right.
Should they happen at a certain time?
Well, that's a great question. It turns out that the purchase contract stipulates a due diligence timeline and it stipulates a financing and appraisal timeline. Now, due diligence, that's the home inspection. Among other things, you're going to have the opportunity to enter the home and do a home inspection.
And that's like a week.
It can be as long as is stipulated in the contract. It can be a week, 2 weeks, 3
What's
weeks.
typical?
Typical is probably
For a
2
due
weeks.
diligence deadline?
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I always try to get the home inspection, the clients to get the home inspection done and back and decide if they want to move forward with the house before you order an appraisal, or do you order an appraisal as soon as it's done?
Depends on timelines. I typically order appraisal as soon as I have a signed.
Repsy?
Nope. Loan application.
Loan
Oh,
application.
As soon as they've agreed to the terms,
Okay. All right.
I'm running. Because a lot of times what I see is we've got a week for due diligence and 2 to 3 weeks for financing and appraisal.
Right.
So an appraiser, especially if it's VA, he's mandated 15 days. Like he can get it done. And if I have 21 days before that deadline, I've got to start.
We gotta do that now.
So yeah, I jump on appraisals pretty quick.
So
Which
one
actually
thing, one
brings
thing real quick, I learned this I guess the hard way from not talking to a lender
The Eric way.
initially.
The best way.
Yeah, the Eric way. Always the rough way. When you order an appraisal, you don't necessarily know exactly when it's happening. Like I always thought lender orders an appraisal is gonna happen, the next couple days to a week.
Yeah.
That's not the truth at all.
No.
I mean, you explained it one time to me. It's kind of like how you order an Uber. You order it,
Yeah.
and then
No, that's the
all
way it
these
happens.
Uber drivers look at it and go, yeah, I'll take that appraisal or I'll take that drive, and they'll do that.
Well, that actually brings up a very important part of the contract, which is the finance and appraisal deadline.
Right.
Okay, so we talked about the due diligence timeline. That's when you get your home inspection done. But the financing and appraisal timeline, that happens after due diligence. And there's two pieces there, right? It's to figure out whether or not you're willing to make a loan on that property. And it's to say, okay, did this thing meet appraisal? Did it meet the value that it was supposed to?
Do I want to lend on the home? Do I want to lend to the person?
Right.
And really, the contract is written, Utah State Rep C, heavy protection to the buyer. So it's really, does the buyer like the terms of the financing?
Right.
That's the way it reads.
Yes.
So what did we learn today?
Well, there's a difference between appraisals and inspections. The appraisal is going to establish the value of the home, and the inspection is going to cover the safety and structure of the home. Make sure it's good.
Okay, we also learned a ton about home inspections, that you're going to get a fat report. But really, the only things that we want to focus on as a buyer are structural and safety. Those are material facts. Those are the things that influence the value of that property.
Yes, and we learned about deadlines, making sure that your agents are keeping you in track to make sure that you get these things done by these deadlines. So if you like this video and you think it's useful, share it with some friends, go like and subscribe it, and tune in next week for some more information about real estate in Utah.